welcome here.
Thank you.
So how's your day now?
Day is good. It's dark. I woke up this morning and saw that the sun was just a little peeking through. You know? So it's something to look forward to. The darkness is almost over. But I like the darkness, to be honest. A lot of people ask me when they said, "Oh, you Alta? Why Alta? It's dark here," and stuff. I like the darkness. I'm a child of the darkness. No, because when you work late nights, you get home late at night. I get home at 1, 2, 3 in the morning sometimes over a weekend, and it's nice when it's dark. You can fall asleep. It's the sunlight that messes you up completely. In summer, it's very hard if you're in the hospitality industry to go home and it's bright, and then you have to sleep and be back, and it's your body feels like you didn't get any rest. So yeah, but it's nice to see the sun kind of just peeking out a little bit. It's interesting town. This very interesting place to be in.
Yeah, I think it's like from now and forward is the best time because the sun is coming up.
Yeah.
You get a lot more energy and it peaks around summer, and then you go in like a dvale. I don't know what that dvale, like with the bears, so in the winter. Like
Hibernate.
Hibernate.
Yeah. Well, there's no time to hibernate for me, man. Full power all the time.
So how's it going? You are now with Kjell Raymond and Guro and starting up the Stakeriet once again.
Correct. It's been amazing. It's been something that it was completely unexpected, to be honest, because the Æventyr group was doing okay, I guess, as everybody assumed. And it was a bit of a big surprise when it happened, So because it happened so quick, there was a lot of question marks, like what do you do, what should I do? But I was never really worried. I was more concerned about my staff, because I had a lot of guys that followed me and that I employed, and I trained them myself, and I had to be the one to break the news to them, So a lot of that, when the company went bankrupt, was on me. But the staff kind of looked at me because I was the one that they were dealing with. And sometimes I think I needed therapy after that, because I had to sit with all the staff individually and explain to them, and in a way I obviously had to defend Æventyr because they were not happy with them, As you could see from all the posts and stuff that was in Alta post, and everybody was, but people get angry when a company goes bankrupt and they don't get their salary. But like I told the staff, nobody wants to. The owners didn't decide, let's go bankrupt. It was something that happened. It's an unfortunate thing that happened, So, but yeah, there was fortune in that for me, Lucky, with all my skills I have, I decided there's opportunity here, In fact, I do owe a lot of that to a guy called Vida Christofferson. He was the one that actually told me, listen, but he always told me, even when I was working for Æventyr, you should go on your own. And he motivated me to, let's go and see this guy. And, So yeah, that's where it all started. And it was very unfortunate for the previous group, the Æventyr group, that it happened just before Julebord. It's so very unfortunate for them and fortunate for me. It happened in Julebord, so it gave us a very good cushion to start off with. It's good and bad, because in restaurants you never open in a busy season. That's one of the... Because when I got here, actually 3 years ago, they opened Alatio, and I realized that it was in their busiest season. You never do that. That is one of the biggest mistakes, because your expenses is not, you don't see real expenses, and you employ too many people during your busy season. Busy season, you got to focus on temporary people. So yeah, you never open in the busy. You always open in the most quiet time, so you can build into it, and then you hire people according to how you get busier. You never start on the busiest time. So that is one error that they made, which is a grave error. And when we were going into this, I was a little bit worried, but at least I had a history to work from. I knew exactly how busy we were going to be, and in exactly how many people we're going to need. And after the busy period, we will temper down, and we'll so that was, history was on our side. So that was good. So it was a very busy period, man. And there's Julebur is that is a very unique thing that I will explain to the rest of the world, and I will put that in my very vast book of hospitality, of skills, something that I've learned over here. How people can go absolutely crazy at the dinner table, once a year. It's fun though. People get really drunk. They, I think after a whole year of working, it is their way of releasing. Some of them release too much. Some of them release too much. So it's, just very interesting and very busy. So we were pretty lucky to have been able to capitalize on that, And now we'll have a relaunch. We'll launch with a new name in February. We will give you guys, we'll have a little media release what the new name is going to be. Unfortunately, I can't tell you now. Hey?
Damn it.
No, but we will, I promise you that you'll be of the first to know, for sure. I guarantee you that. It's only fair that we do it with the locals first, and then we can, do something. Maybe I'll come with Kjell Raymond, and we will, it's going to be a nice little launch. So it was an exciting time.
Yes, because you were in charge of Gabo, Stakeriet, Alta, and Røy.
Not Røs.
Or not Røs.
Not Røs, no. I wasn't in charge of Røs. I wasn't, and to be very clear, I was not involved in the Røs at all. Yeah. So I want to make that very clear, that Alta, Stakeriet, and Gabo, that was a part of my portfolio. So my portfolio covered those three, and the staff and employees, and obviously stock and sales, So that's what I needed to take care of. So it was pretty hard when everything just dropped,
And was it any signs, or just dropped like a bombshell?
There was, I can't be, nobody's Nostradamus, I'm not a Nostradamus. I can't predict.
What does that mean?
Nostradamus is the guy, it was a philosopher that predicted the future. Ages ago. And he was pretty right with a lot of things. So nowadays they call anybody that can predict correctly a Nostradamus, So, but I am skilled in this industry. So in that sense, you can see things coming, when people are doing things incorrectly. And I could see, I've advised, of course, guys, maybe don't do this, don't do that, or don't, and then it fell on deaf ears. And so, I didn't wish for them I wish for them to be successful, but maybe a small part of me could see that the direction, we needed 3 or 4 really big months to sustain it, and we never got that because of various reasons, Again, I'm not there to point fingers. I'm not going to say it's the way they did it. That's definitely not the market, because if you look at people like Erica's improved their sales, Everybody is expanding. Uno is expanding. Everybody's growing. So it's definitely not the market. The market hasn't gone in a direction where you can't expand. You can grow in a market like this, you know, but you just have to grow exponentially. You can't, you know, you can't grow to impress others. You have to grow to impress your pocket, you know, and you have to grow in conjunction with your expenses. So they have. It's been a tough ride for them, but I can guarantee you one thing: if lessons have been learned, and that's the good thing. And I mean, if they've learned a lesson and said, "Okay, we've learned a lesson now," then it's a really good thing, because all businessmen, you look at the Charlie Mungers and Warren Buffetts, and these guys will tell you the same thing. You need to have failed in business a few times to know what paths not to go down. So they have now got a very valuable failure, you know. Nobody lost an eye, nobody died, you know. So this is valuable. It is very valuable. If they see it that way, if they're going to blame everybody else and say it's because of that, then because of that, then unfortunately there's another failure coming, you know. But if they go and say, okay, we're going to do things better this time, we're not going to expand so fast, or I don't know. This is just my opinion, you know. But again, you also have to value you have to value people's skill sets and what they bring, you know, and not how many times they sit with you at night and have a drink with you. You know, I have a lot of staff that they're not necessarily my best friends, but they bring a very skillful part to the business, and I let them fly with it, you know. So yeah, I think Æventyr will do well if they've learned from their mistakes, which I hope they have, and I think they have, you know. Yeah.
How is it with recruiting nowadays? It's like
madness. Recruiting is very easy, and you're going to find that strange. Recruiting is very easy. You know what's not easy is retaining. So I can get people because of the whole glamour, sort of charm, exoticness about, hey, come live in Alta. There's a 24-hour sun, and then winter it's dark. And, you know, it's a small town, so that sounds exciting, right? You're like, okay, cool, I'll come. Retaining them is the hard part. So when you actually live here and you've lived through 3 to 4 months and you realize there's only one pub to go to, and there's one supermarket, and, you know, and you've seen everything, then it's hard. And guys are going from work to home, and home to work, and work to home. And then they realize after 6 months, money is not that much. Then they either want more money, you know, because it's hard for them, and they miss their families. And the other thing is why it's hard to retain them is because you have to take 2 planes here to get anywhere. So you have to go from here to Tromsø and Tromsø to anywhere significant. So you want to go to, if somebody lives close, Portugal or whatever, you have to go from here to Oslo and Oslo to, you know. So that is hard to keep people here. So I've been fortunate that the people that have stayed with me personally have all stayed, because I believe in something completely different to where these guys are just call it business. They like the Æventyr guys comes from a hotel background, which is a very draconian, very black and white sort of, you come in by the back door, you don't, you know, you stand with your hands behind the back. Again, I've been in restaurants a little bit longer to understand that you can't. You have to be more liberal with your guys, you know. You have to live with them and not lead from the top down. You have to, you know, be with them. And so everybody that I've had has stayed with me, the whole group, because I make it fun for them. I make it interesting for them, you know. I'll go and have a drink with them. I spend time with them. And if they need something, I will help them, you know, not on the personal level, because I have to make it fun for them, because they're working in a fun industry, you know. So you want to have a drink with a customer. Not while you're working, of course. But go and have, I promote that, as opposed to you coming here to work and what you will do is work. That's not good, because there's nothing else for them in this space that we live in. Some of them are really into nature, And you can retain people like that for slightly longer because they would like to go out and they go fishing. But then you also have a small window of a month, 2 months, where you can do all of that, right? Then because the stressful work environment, those times in the summer months, that's when I need the staff mostly. So there's no time for you to take off 3 days, 4 days to go out and enjoy the nature, you know? So that's a special kind of person that you need to keep here. So retaining is bad. Recruiting, no problem. I don't have a problem recruiting, yeah. And again, Norwegians don't, as you'll see, you look in our restaurants, you can count in one hand how many Norwegians are there. That's not by choice. The fact that my Norwegian is so bad is not by choice. I wish I had only Norwegians. But you can look in any news article or in history, that's not your thing. Norway is not known for their service. It's not they don't want to be, hi sir, how are you, welcome, please have a seat, we'll look after you. That's not their thing. You are automated society, you know. You're okay with ordering off an app. So we have to understand that other people will bring those kind of skills. We have to be proud enough to say, okay, fine, that's not our thing. Let's employ the right people that can bring that. So if it's the Spanish, if it's, you know, more Eastern European people, then yeah, teach them the language, let them do that, but let them bring that kind of, like me, like in South Africa, that's a service-orientated place, you know. It's so the people are like that. So I would love to employ more Norwegians. It's hard to recruit Norwegians. Hard. Very hard. I mean, it's almost impossible. The locals, yes, but you have them for such short periods as well, and they're not driven by service. It's not a driven thing, you know. They'll run and greet you at the door. But again, it's characters. I've had certain Norwegians working for me. That's not there anymore, but they have that character where they enjoy the service thing. But it's 1 in every 40, 50. You know, yeah.
So is it other big obstacles you are seeing in the future to run Stakeriet successfully?
No, I do see only, I'm very optimistic about it. Because let's start with the fact that Stakeriet has not got a bad name. So it's not the name that people, if Stakeriet closed because 2 people were poisoned or the drinks were terrible, or then I would have had hard work ahead of me. So they closed because of a bankruptcy. But when they closed, the place was still trading positively. Like it still had a good enough name. What we're doing now is adding improvements to an already good name. So when we take that name off, people will be used to this last 3 months of what we've been giving them, you know? So obstacles, what will happen now in the city is going to grow. The new hotel is coming, Rouse is opening, Erica's got his new renovation, the new Thai restaurant will be there. So suddenly there'll be a boom. And what happens is in February, people will go and want to check it out. So you are going to go now, you want to see Erica. You're going to go to Erica, you're going to go, whether you go once or twice or 3 times, so I lose you. Then you want to go see what the new Rouse looks like. You're going to go there, you understand. So this is so I have an immediate obstacle, which is there I will lose. So I need to temper my staff and my intake and know that I'm going to not lose, but I'll drop a little bit, okay? For the future, long-term future, I'm going to create an identity for that place, which is going to be unmatched to anybody in this town. Again, I don't have competition in this town because I'm much better than all of them at this, right? And I've obviously got administrative skills that I need to work on and stuff like that because I've always had a secretary or a PA or somebody doing. I'm terrible at that. You know, write my emails, do that. Now I have to do all of that myself. I hate that part of it. So there I can brush up, but when it comes to the technical aspects, the sort of the more hands-on aspects of restauranteering, that's my skill. So there I have no worries that we can crack this. And the good thing is that I've also got a guy like Kjell Raymond He is passionate, complete passion for his food. You know, he's so passionate. He's in that kitchen right now. I mean, I just come from the restaurant. He's busy wiping down surfaces. He gets there every morning and he comes and he complains about the kitchen that they left dirty the night before, which is a good thing. You don't get that as a owner, you know, and as a partner. That's like, so that's gold. And he loves his food. It's very, Instagram this and Instagram that, and you take a picture of that. So that's the level that he wants to. So from a food production and quality point of view, we are set with him there, right? And I will, from a front of house and bringing energy, having the right kind of drinks, having the right type of drinks, knowing what the customer wants, knowing how to treat the customer, knowing what they want before they leave or when they sit down there, I've got that covered. So obstacles in this town, is there enough people to service all 4 restaurants that will operate? Yes, you know, I do think so. I don't know what the numbers is now, 24,000?
I don't know either.
Yeah.
21, 22.
Yeah, 21, 22. So
maybe I'm a little uncertain about
it's much less than that. When I got here, I did my homework, because we have to work on, in the industry, is something called LSM and disposable income. So LSM is living standard measure. So you get LSM 1 to 10. So LSM 1 is a poor guy that lives on the street. LSM 10 is living standard measure 10 is your Bill Gates and your Warren Buffetts and those guys, all right? So we target LSM 7, 8. That's LSM 7, 8 is the guy that's got enough disposable income to go out and eat 3 times a week.
Correct.
So that's LSM 7, 8. So that's who you target. So if you got 22,000 people in the city, it doesn't mean that 22,000 people is going to eat. So you have to cut off anybody below 10 years old. Then you have to cut off anybody over 70 or 80. About that number changes all the time as your society ages, right? So before, when we studied it, it was 70. Now it's probably 75. So you cut off the 75 plus and you cut off the 10-year-old. Then that number becomes smaller. Then you have to cut it even smaller to say how many of those people actually go out and eat and how many people, right? So 22,000, I would say realistically, we have about 7,000 people that we're all fighting for. So between that 7,000 people, it now will be those 4 main restaurants, Rouse, in the city only. Of course, I'm not trusting Trina's also in that, but it's Rouse, Alta, I think it will be called Aranya, Stakeriet, Erika, and then obviously the 2 restaurants in the hotels. So that's only, so if you look at it like that, it's not so big anymore. It's, it's a very small amount. So that's why we need to focus on the tourist market as well. So the locals will carry you through the bad months, and the tourists will carry you through the happy months, the silly season they call it. So the locals, that's why I have a big focus, even though I don't speak, my Norwegian is not that good. Strangely, I've got a good following with the locals, you know. I think they like my madness. There's this damn mad African coming here, greeting us and touching our shoulders and stuff. So, it's been good. So, yeah. So there's no obstacles. No, I don't see it. I only see good things. I hear all the time that Tromsø is full, and it's full, and it's overbooked. And it can only mean one thing, that people are going to start traveling in. You know?
So do you get a lot of the cruise traffic, cruise tourists? So
Alatio didn't. Stakeriet. Actually, I'm seeing a difference now. Because when we were at Alatio, strangely enough, you just had an extra coffee and an extra slice of cake. But Stakeriet, now when the boats come in, I see people are actually booking. And I have not put in any effort to go to the agents and say, sell for me, right? I can just imagine if I do that, then yeah. So I'm gonna get into all of that eventually. Like Æventyr has got a whole marketing team that does that, you know. again, I'm getting just backup from the people that I've got. I'm not going to mention names because she's just doing it for me. That she runs the boats and she's like, okay, go eat there, go eat there, go eat there. So if I get like 5 or 6 tables every time a boat is here, that's a lot of money, you know? But I haven't put in any real effort to set up a team and say, okay, you follow up the boats and you sell tables, and yeah, there's a market there. There's a real market there for sure. But people walk by. Stakeriet is not very visible, if you know what I mean. So you, Magnus, imagine you come to this town and you don't know Stakeriet is Stakeriet. You will never come in there. Well, now maybe because that ugly curtains are away, right? Because that curtains was hiding the restaurant even more. The windows are tinted and then you had these curtains, but now we open and we bright. But you don't know there's a restaurant there. So the tourists walk past there and they walk up and down and they don't know. So that's another thing we're going to focus on. On the tourist market, you need to put up words, English, if you want to attract the tourists, you know. So yeah, that's a big market. That is a big market we're looking at, and I foresee that market's going to grow now because there's major hotel coming. The Alta is working very hard on getting the direct flights.
Yeah.
So that's going to make a big difference.
Where was your introduction to the restaurant business?
My introduction was I was 19 years old, 18, 19, and I was washing dishes in a restaurant because I couldn't find any work. I was living on the street. I had ran away from home, and then because I grew up in a very dangerous ghetto, and I thought to myself, I was a little naughty little gangster and stuff, and you know, so I thought, okay, I'm gonna die here if I don't do something, you know. So I left and I got a job washing dishes in the Stakeriet. I was a little kid, you know. And while I was doing that, I knew that I didn't have the education at that time, so I needed to steal with my eyes and listen, you know. I was listening to everything happening in the kitchen, and I got some really good advice from really good people. I chose to surround myself with good people. And I thought to myself, if I do whatever I do, I need to be really good at it. And I mustn't worry about what they call the white noise, the noise on the side, this one saying this and go for a drink and I was like, I'm just going to focus on doing this. You know, necessity breeds motivation. If you need to do something, you become motivated. Mostly people that are entitled, they have enough money, or they know they're going to, like for example, in Norway, that's fine, Nav will take care of me. And it makes you, it almost takes your motivation levels down. And when you need to work because you need to eat, that need creates a lot of motivation. You know, it's weird. And I was motivated. But I had more than, my motivation was I wanted to be great. I wanted to do good things. I wanted to do great things. I always had that motivation. And I became really good at that, at dishes and Stakeriet and stuff. And so good that they couldn't ignore me, you know. And the owner of the place put me in the next step and he said, okay, I'm going to give you that. And he actually, you know what he did after, to cut a long story just to jump 2 years down the line. 2 years down the line, I owned 20% of that business, of that very business I was washing dishes at, because that's I worked my way in there. And you know what he did about 8 months down the line? He promoted me to, then I worked in the bar. By the time I worked in the bar, I knew how to make most of the drinks already, because I was cleaning behind the bar and I was watching, and I went home, wrote down what goes in this and what goes in that, and yeah. And one day somebody got sick and I had to close the bar. And you know what he did? He gave me the keys. He threw the keys and he said, close up and take all the cash. And that time, you know, this might be strange to Norwegians, but there's a thing called cash.
You know, I heard about it.
Yeah. We had the kassa was filled with cash. It was a busy night. And he told me, he threw the keys and said, close up. And there was nobody in the place. So I could have very easily just, and he knew I was poor. I wasn't, I didn't. Man, I put it in the safe. I was like, and he told me many years later that was my test. Yeah, he tested me to see if I would, Him and his partner. His partner said I would run away, and he said I won't. And then, so they made a bet. And then I didn't. I took the money in. Because I came from the ghetto, and his partner said, this guy's going to run with this money, he's going to take it. So they gave me a promotion, and eventually I was a barman and the bar manager, and then one day I remember the chef got sick, and the chef was the general manager. And we had a big event for Volkswagen, because Volkswagen launched their new Golf, and they used it was a massive place I worked at, it's called the Pit Stop Diner. And then we had a set menu, and I knew how to do the set menu as well, and I told them, don't worry, they weren't there, the owners weren't there. I was on the phone, and I said, I'll do it. But at that time, I had the backup of all the staff already, because they respected me. I was the first and only non-white leader, And that time it was still apartheid, or we just finished apartheid. Whites can't associate with blacks and stuff like that. So they did everything I asked them to do. And I took over the general manager's position of that place. And and then from there I just decided, okay, now I need to study this. I need to focus on this. But I was, one of the things in business is that if you don't understand people, you'll never understand business. Especially this business, especially the hospitality business. And I, fortunately, through DNA or however, have the ability to be able to communicate with people, on different levels. So that was my advantage. It was the other side that I needed to upskill myself, the technical side. How does accounting work? How does that work? What human resources, how does that work? But I was blessed in the fact that I knew interpersonal skills and I knew how to, So that was an advantage, and you need some kind of competitive advantage, and that was my competitive advantage to the other guy, because every year there were guys that were qualifying through university, coming with a 4-year degree, and I had to come up against them, So it was tough. But I just grew from there. A couple of years later, I opened a nightclub. That was a bad idea. It was a terrible idea, but a good idea as well. A very good idea and a very bad idea. I don't know if you know this, but I'd probably tell you now, so you probably find out. They made a movie of my life, and that a lot of what I'm telling you now is actually in the movie, especially with the nightclub part, So what I did was I went back to my, by this time I've achieved a lot in the industry already. And then I went to go open a club, and I went back to my ghetto ways, walking around again. And because you had to discipline the guys. The guys aren't like they are here in Alta. Make no mistake. There you can't throw a guy out of the, say, hey, slut, or stop drinking now, you must go. The guy will still say, and he'll go. There, it's a different story. You tell a guy, you must stop drinking now, you're drunk. He's going to hit you with a bottle in the face, or he's going to pull out a knife or a gun or something, So you need to know your shit. So it was tough. And I was like, I had to discipline some people in a way where, I got in, and I had like bouncers, like 2 bodyguards, and I was fortunate that I knew how to look after myself, because you grow up in the ghetto, you learn very fast how to protect yourself, So, I got shot and I got stabbed a few times. I got 97 stitches in my face. That's why I have a beard. So, so the club was it was a couple of years of, man, you do drugs to get high, and then you take drugs to come down again to sleep. you know. And then because the club was open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 nights.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I say club, I mean 3, 4 in the morning we close. And then I would still go on, and then by that time, me and the bouncers, and we would have parties in the place, and it's crazy. It's crazy. And then you're always in hospital with this one, and always in court because we hit somebody and he's unconscious, and it's a crazy, crazy life, you know. But I knew how to manage my bars, and that was my skill again, you know. I knew how to make money with the bars and stuff like that. But then the drug scene came in, and then everybody was doing ecstasy. So we just lost everything. The bars went from doing 100,000 to like 2,000. It's crazy. It's just, so everybody was, so yeah. And I left that. Well, I was kind of forced to leave it because I was like, it was either that or death again.
I watched the trailer of the movie. It was like lots of machetes and knives.
Yeah, the machetes and knives, that was when I was growing up as a kid in the ghetto. Yeah. The gun part was when that was not a couple of, but like in 99 and stuff, you know. That was when there was a lot of shooting happening in the city, you know. I mean, my car, I'll tell you, for the last, I got shot at 18 times. And only one bullet got me. 18 times. They tried to take me down a few times, but 18 times they shot in my car. And I was like, okay, maybe it's time to finish now. You know, maybe I should stop. But let me first go and get him, and then I'll stop. So it's a vicious. Yeah.
But when you get shot at, is it just like you zone completely out and you just do what you need to do, just run away?
Yeah. And Magnus, the first time I got shot at was when I was a kid in the ghetto. So bullets, it goes like, it's, you know, what you see on TV, it's not really like that. You hear the zip, 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 it goes like in past you, like the pa, the loud bang, you don't really, it's that, you hear them pass you like that. So you kind of, I'm not going to say, I got used to being shot at, but you know what to expect, kind of, right? But instinct kicks in, I guess. When they shot me there, I jumped from the driver's seat out the passenger seat in, I think, I don't even think Usain Bolt could have done that, buddy. I was out on that side, and I just heard, you don't know, because you don't know if you hit or not, because your adrenaline is so, you know. And I was hit once, but I thought it was worse than it really was. It was just scraped me here. And the whole thing was full of blood. My whole neck was full of blood, and I thought it was hitting my neck. So it was crazy. If you get if you're in that lifestyle. So like for me now, if a gun should get pulled on me, I won't freeze, because it's not like okay, you know, you know it. But you're still scared. You know, if somebody pulls a knife at me now, I'll be like, nah, better know how to use that, buddy, because I'm going to stab you with your own knife. Like that kind of thing, you know? So, because you get confronted with the same situation all the time. It's again like in business. It's like I was confronted with bankruptcy or failed businesses and stuff. And so I know what to do in that situation. That's the difference. The difference is I'm not smarter than, let's say, the guys from Æventyr. But I have been in that situation before where I can tell them, don't do that. You know? So it's the same with
experience.
Correct. It's the same with that. If somebody pulls a knife at me now, I'm not going to go and run away. I'm going to be like, buddy, let's dance. You know? Gun even. I'm going to know that because not everybody can use it. You know, especially a knife. Not everybody can use a knife. It's one thing shooting somebody and standing 10 meters or 5 meters away. You can shoot and run, but you stab somebody. You need to have because you feel that knife going in. You know, so not everybody can take a knife and show you, I'll stab you. I think it's a very few that can actually do that. Because once you feel that flesh cutting like that, you must know you must know your thing. So again, if confronted with that, I would probably deal with it better than the next guy, because I'm not happy that I've went through that. I wish it was a different way, but it has trained me. It has taught me parts of life, which I'm going to teach my son one day, that you are lucky. You are lucky, but there's another part to life as well. People are growing up in Africa and survival is their own, the main thing. Here in Norway, you can easily become entitled because everything is given to you. So you need to know that there's other people struggling like I did, So I don't want him to always think of it on the back foot like that, but I want him to be aware of that. So I'm happy that I've experienced all those things. I'm happy that I came through it, but I think I've learned a lot out of it. And again, like as in business, I've failed businesses, make mistakes, and now I know what not to do. I mean, I got married really late in life, so I'll never get divorced and marry somebody else because I'm now too old and ugly for that. And my wife is too pretty for that. So the thing is, you go through all those mistakes and you make your errors and you're like, okay, right now I know, So some people learn from it, some people don't, Some people are dead. A lot of my friends now, they're dead because they didn't learn from it. They will just go back again and go back and go back. So, yeah.
So where was the journey next after you quit that job, the bar?
After I did that, I took a few months where I did absolutely nothing. I just sat at home. Like they say, you take stock of your life. I was just like, what am I going to do now? Because I felt that I'm going backwards. And then a group called Primi Piatti. They were expanding no. Got this completely wrong. So there was a guy, he was the director of a company called Primi Piatti. They owned a few restaurants, but his life was under threat. They put a hit out on him or something, and he needed a bodyguard. He needed personal protection. So he called one of the very famous big guys in South Africa called Cyril Beaker. If you Google Cyril Beaker, you'll see he was a main guy, main mafia dude, right? And he asked him, listen, I need somebody to be my bodyguard. And he said, look, I know one guy, he doesn't want to, so he doesn't want to be in the business anymore, and that was me. So Cyril phoned me, and he said, look, I know you, but just do this one job for me, please. Look after this guy because he's an important guy for us. And I was like, okay. So until they find, so in the background, they will be searching for who this person is that put a hit out on him. And while that happens, I have to go to the restaurant with him and go home with him. And he had a big farm. I had to sleep on his farm. I had to, wherever he goes, I go. He was the worst job I ever had, worst bodyguarding job I ever had, man. This guy he was crazy, he was loud and brrr. And you just never knew. He used to always be in public, and so it was hard. As a bodyguard, you don't know where it's going to come from. If the guy he showed no fear. If he was still scared, and then I would be okay. But he would go into public places and not
careless.
He couldn't care less. And he wouldn't wait for me. I was to tell him, just wait, let me go assess first and see if I recognize it. No. So, but we became good friends. Because, of course, if you live with somebody and, you look after their life, and then 2 months later, they found the people that were threatening him. And I'm not going to say what happened to them. But, and then I had to tell him, okay, I'm done. He said, and then he said, man, I really like you. One of my restaurants, don't you want to work in one of my, what are you going to do now? Yeah, I said, no, I'm not, nothing. I just want to, And he said, okay, work in one of my restaurants. I feel safe and I'll feel better and whatever. And he said, I heard that you've worked in the industry before. I said, yeah. He said, okay, well, And I said, I just don't want no clubs and no danger, nothing like that. And then I worked in one of his restaurants. And then obviously, it's what I do. So after a few months, they're like, oh man, can't you manage the restaurant? Because, we need to. And then I started with them. as a group, and then they expanded. We had 6 stores and then 7 stores, and then I was managing one of their biggest stores, and then they expanded to Johannesburg. So they went to Johannesburg to open big stores there, and then of course, who do they want? Me. So I had to go, and I had to do the expansion of the franchise. So we franchised it out to Johannesburg. I did the training for new franchisees, and so we expanded massively in Johannesburg. So big, ended up having more than 20 stores. It was a big operation, huge. It's like every restaurant had like 70, 80 tables.
So where did it start originally? What
Cape Town.
country? Cape Town.
In Cape Town, yeah, in Cape Town. And then I took it up to the north. It was big. At one stage, I was looking after quite a few restaurants with a lot of staff, but I believed in a hands-on approach. I could do anything. I would wash the floors. I would be there. I would do the finances. I would, that was good because I wanted to do it. I wasn't under obligation to do it. But people love leaders that lead by example, not dictators. I used to say, you can't do it, let me show you how to do it, as opposed to I want this done. So I'm always like that. Even now I'm like that as well. So waiter, I can do 5 tables. Right now I can do 5 tables, and so they know. So if I ask them to do something, I say, take the plates there. I'm not asking them from a position of power. I'm asking them from a position the same level as them, because they know I can do it. If I'm going to make a espresso martini or a whiskey sours, it's because I can make it to the recipe. So that's how I believe that this business should be done. And So that was, and then I got headhunted by the Khalifa family. The Khalifa family is the ruling family in the Emirates, and they were going to open a restaurant on an island called Bahrain, which is the banking capital of the UAE, and they wanted to open a 5-star restaurant, and I'd never worked in 5-star. With a 3-star Michelin chef, Olivia Caparros, and they flew me up, and I was a couple of years already with this big Premier Piatti group, and you get bored. And they flew me up to Dubai. I had a meeting there, and they said, look, if you want to do this, bring us staff. Again, because the Emirates have got the same kind of problems that Norway's got, first world problems. Nobody wants to do the actual work, So I flew up, and they said, bring us staff and run the place. Yeah, and then I came back. I took 8 of my staff at Premier Piatti. I selected the best of every store, and I said, come, let's go. And I went and I opened the restaurant in La Terrace, it was called, in Bahrain. And I was very successful until the war started. And then the United Nations,
Okay, in Yemen or?
No, I was in Bahrain. So Bahrain wasn't affected that much, but because South Africa is part of the Commonwealth countries said, hey, it's going to start, the war. We know it's going to start, so get your ass out of here, because there's going to be a plane, and get on the plane and out, because we can't protect you once the war started.
Yeah, then the war in South Africa.
No, the war in the Gulf War.
Yeah,
because I was in Bahrain, right? So we took the staff, and I moved to Bahrain with the staff to open this restaurant. And then that was the time of the first Gulf War. So I did it for a year, 2 years, year and a half, and then the war started. There was talk of it, but so they said the war's going to start. And you're like, oops, what to do now? And I said, look, you better they advised us, there's a plane for you, get on this plane, it's free to go home. But after that, we can't protect you. And then I stayed longer. I was like, nah, I'm not scared. Then I stayed 3 or 4 more months, but then I decided, nah, I want to go, because some of my staff left, and I was like, okay, I'll go. Man, I was lucky. I left. 3 months after that, they burned down the place with the staff inside. Everybody survived, but they petrol bombed the place. The Sunnis. It was crazy. So I dodged another bullet there. A few bullets.
Yeah, so here in Norway, it's very like soft in comparison with all the other places and experiences you had in your life.
Yeah, different challenges, you know.
Yeah.
So we have to separate the physical challenges, which is that, with the emotional challenges that you guys have. To deal with all the emotions here in Norway is another challenge, you know. You have to watch what you say. You have to be very, you know. I am a very open, direct person. It's too bad or good, I don't know, but you know, but yeah, people get offended slightly easier than they would elsewhere, you know. But I'm trained in that as well, because remember, I have to make the statement where it says, traveling is the antidote to ignorance, and I was fortunate that I traveled a lot, and you learn lots of different cultures, and you become. Like, I lived in the Emirates, lived with these Muslim people, and you hear all these terrible things about Muslims. And you live with them, it's like, but these guys are okay. They just believe in a different deity, you know? So you become understanding of different cultures. I can see it even in Alta with people that don't travel. They're ignorant. They're just closed-minded. And then you can see the guy that's traveled. Schooler, I met this guy that travels, and he will be more open-minded. And then you get a guy that's a farmer that never travels, and he will look at you with a frown, you know. So yeah, the challenges here is different, you know. It's yes, you don't have that physical challenges, and I'm too old for that now in any case. You don't have that physical challenges, and yes, it is nice to know that you can just tell a guy, excuse me, sir, you've had enough to drink now, please go home. It's nice, you know. There are some people that get a little bit out of hand, but yeah. So I don't see any immediate challenges for me. The challenge here for me is to be successful as I was before, to grow a business into something and to leave a legacy for my kid. If I'm going to stay here, whether I'm moving down back south again, I don't know. I love it here. I love to say and not yai. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here, because every time I have been at Alta or something up through the years, we got very good service and very good food, and it's always been a treat.
Yeah.
To being at your restaurant that you have managed, basically.
Yeah, thanks for recognizing.
So I want to wish the best of luck with the new like adventure, and I will definitely. I already been there once after you reopened.
Yeah.
But, I need to visit more.
Yeah. I think I saw you there. Yeah, come have dinner, assess, talk about it, but give me your feedback.
Yeah.
Because you won't always get it right, you know, especially if you're dealing, we're not making cell phones and copy paste, you know. There's real hands doing the steak. There's real people mixing the cocktails, and they have off days and on days, and so your feedback is very important. Yeah. You tell me, hey Bernie, listen, that didn't, or you come and you say, man, the steak was really good today, you know, stuff like that. Feedback is good. That's what keeps me on my toes.
Yeah.
Come visit.
And it's better to have actual feedback than just to say, oh, it was nice.
Yeah. No, give it to me raw. I because I completely understand. You know, it's good for us to have high levels of expectation. I do not want to make the best coffee. I don't want to make the best of this and the best that and the best that. I want to make something that's going to bring you back every single time, that you're going to enjoy, because you know what you're getting. I want to be consistent. Consistency is what I'm going for. You know, a good steak and consistently good. A good coffee and consistently good. A greeting at the door. Hey, Magnus, how are you? My staff know you because you've complimented them once, and they will never forget you for that, you know. So that's good, and they will remember your name. Arantxa always, she knows your name. That's Magnus, you know. So we we feed off that. So give us feedback. It's good. You know, I mean, how do you feel? Is the place? Do you see any difference or?
Events I were now difference. Not so. It's we were sat in like the bar seats on the left because it was everything was full.
Yeah.
So we was there just eating some burgers. Yeah, and it was a quicker dinner than usual.
Yeah.
Didn't like get the full experience that we usually. Usually we take some wine and make it a little longer night, but we were basically in a little hurry. The guys were now, so we didn't get to completely immerse ourselves in the right way. But when I like book a table or something, then I think I can give a better
Let's do it.
guide.
Let's do it. I'm not going to do anything special because then it's going to be a lie. I want to give you the real experience and see, you know, because it's a lot of the same stuff, eh? Same people, so they know what to do, you know. So yeah.
Well, then I would just want to thank you for joining me on the podcast today. It was very educational and a good story you had from where you came from and your journey here and what you're doing in the future. It was very like interesting.
Yeah, it was an interesting. It was an interesting path to get here. Meeting my wife, her throwing me over the shoulder like, you know, you Vikings just take what you want, right? Mm-hmm. So when she met me, she just threw me over the shoulder and said, "You are coming to Norway." So so it was an interesting path here. But I've met some really interesting people in Alta. It's going to be hard for me to leave if I do leave there. This is how I know Norway, Alta. When I got to Norway, I lived in Nittedal at her dad's farm for 3 months. And then I moved up here. So Norway for me is Alta, you know. It's going to be hard.
Well, we count on you being here for long time.
I've got a lot of value to still bring here, you'll see.
Perfect. Okay. Then that's it. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.